Now remember, the schools here have not met the state's growth level for the following years. If you look at Cedarbrook, they're in cohort 1, they're a comprehensive school, and the data was taken from the years that you see up there, 2014, 15, and 16. They're not eligible to leave status until 2021. They'll have to meet whatever requirements the state has in 2021. Could change, this changes every year. Cook School is in cohort 2. That was a new school going into status. The data that was used for them to go into status was from the 15, 16, and 17 school year, and they cannot leave status until 2022. Hubbard went back into comprehensive status. Remember, they were originally in status. They went out last year, now they're back in. The data they used to put them in, back in, 15, 16, and 17, they're not eligible to leave status until 2022. The other area of Maxon is a cohort 2. They were also in status before. They are in now to 2022. Their years were 15, 16, and 17. And Plainfield High School goes in, comprehensive, 15, 16, and 17. They're not eligible to leave status until 2020. Now, what happens is the state then will give us funding and will give us a beginning of a plan, which we'll go over in a minute. I think it's important for me to say this to you, and this is very important, because there's a lot of misconceptions that go out because everybody wants to play a blame game. So the minute this hits, we want to blame it on this person, that person, this person, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. This is a district problem. We, for the first time, have decided to say this is a district problem, even though we have 5 schools in status. This is not only a 5-school problem, and we need to develop plans that reflect what our district is doing. If you remember, the board approved, along with the Bilingual Academy last year, RTI teachers in every building, remediation, coaching, AVID program, and I can go on and on and on. I won't bore you with all that. That was our budget presentation last year. It's on the website. All of those plans were put in place, but they were put in place for the entire school district, not just 5 schools. And we met with the state, and we have approval from the state to develop plans that are based on a district philosophy, not just a building philosophy. Years past, the plans were developed in isolation of the district. So one school could be doing one thing, another school could be doing something else. You could have different personnel strategies, and the plans are all over the place. That doesn't work. And if anybody comes in here and changes that, it will be a disaster again. It did not work. It's not gonna work. You've gotta have a district plan. So, the common district thread that goes throughout our school district, and it's also in all of these plans, is what's on this page. And I'm just gonna go through them quickly. You all heard me talk about this if you've come to meetings. If you're here the first time, this has been talked about probably 10 times over. 70% of our kids are reading below grade level. Not just in those 5 buildings, in all buildings. Pedagogical and instructional practices have to be improved. Emphasis on course curriculum have to take place. Lack of consistency in monitoring instruction. We need to be, the principals met at the last, 2 in-services ago, and talked about how do we develop common practices to evaluate. So we don't have people evaluating differently in different buildings, which was happening. And the principals did a great job on that. And we're starting to look at that data and trying to coach principals how to evaluate consistently and have a common thread in evaluation. Consistent, sustainable programs. Plainfield's famous for the hit and miss programs. Okay, one superintendent comes in and one director of curriculum comes in and they like, I'm just gonna throw things out, pen literacy. So we put that in. At the same time, somebody next door or in the west end of town is using Teachers College of Columbia. Or in the middle of the town, that group in that elementary group is using another philosophy. We don't have a consistent philosophical approach to materials and curriculum. We're changing that. We brought Dr. Evans in. You know, Dr. Evans will make a presentation on a part-time basis. You know, but she's come in and worked with staff, elementary and middle school staff, with other people in the district, with our supervisors and other people, to bring a common thread in the K-8 curriculum. Because you can't just say it's a middle school problem, it's a high school problem, it's a Cook problem, it's a district problem. Because all of the students that wind up in those 3 middle schools all came from the elementary schools. So if they're reading 3 grade levels below or 2 grade levels below, that didn't start in the middle school or high school, it started in the elementary school. So we have to have consistent elementary program. That's what we're working towards. We have, and I forget the exact number, but when we do the curriculum presentation in a few months, you'll see this. We have, and Gene, I don't know if you have the number of, we have probably thousands of kids right now. I'll say thousands, it's not hundreds of kids in programs to increase reading comprehension in the district. Now, we asked teachers to follow those programs. We're looking to make a presentation to the board to show you the success of those programs. That's our next step, and so we're looking at that. In climate and culture, you need consistent leadership. One of the problems you have in Plainville is we switch leadership all over the place. High school has had 5 principals in 5 years. Some of our middle schools had 3. You've had 5 superintendents in the last whatever how many years. None of that helps you in development. Because everybody new comes in and they tell you they have the greatest mousetrap, and we're going to do it. If anybody comes into this seat and says, I got the greatest mousetrap, don't hire them. Because you have to understand what's going on out here with the teachers and the staff to build that mousetrap. I don't tell people what to do. Build the mousetrap together. And that's what we got to do. We have budget issues, which you won't know. We have customer service issues. You know, we got to be more client-centered. Our buildings have to be more client-approached. We need to be more student-centered environment. We have to start talking about students, not adults. You've heard me say this 1,000 times. We have to attack our high absenteeism. If they're not in the seat, we can't teach them. So we got to get them in the seat. Bilingual Academy, put them in the seat. The reason they're so successful is not only the teachers work hard, the kids are in the seat. So we got to get ways to get the kids in the seats. We have to sustain quality and instruction. If somebody's not doing their job, we got to unload them. You know, that's as simple as it is. And that's administratively, that's teacher, that's support staff, that's everybody. Okay. Curriculum needs to be more rigor. We have to have more rigor in our curriculum. We have to definitely revise all our curriculum. We have to align it, both general ed, special ed, and bilingual and enrichment. One of the things we do, we don't make moves without having special ed, bilingual, and gen ed together. These pilots I'm talking about, if you went in a room today, we have a pilot called I'm a Reader. You're going to hear about that in a couple of months. In that room were bilingual, special ed, and gen ed teachers, all piloting the program. It wasn't just gen ed, it wasn't just bilingual. And so you got to bring everybody together when you do this. You have to align the curriculum so it is, you have increased rigor, and you have to increase your intervention areas. We only have 2 people right now. I'm hoping we can figure the budget out because we put a Band-Aid on it last year. But not to have interventions in the schools, which is what we called in the old days remedial education or basic skills or coaching, reading specialists. Without that, we're not going to get to that root of issue of 70% of our kids reading below grade level. Climate and culture, again, we have to develop more extended day programs. Remember, when I came here last year, I got together with Gene, and I said, Gene, rework the Title I program. We want to start doing more after-school programs. And now we have thousands of kids in the after-school program. We had a meeting 4 weeks ago, and we met with the 21st Century program, which is Zelda. We met with the YMCA, we met with Gene's people, and with Stacy's people, and we're coordinating all of our programs for the first time. If you can believe this, our programs didn't talk to each other, did not talk. So Title I was doing one thing, 21st Century was doing something, Family Success was doing something, and your after-school program providers were doing something. And we had kids all over the place, so we said, no, we got to coordinate. So I had Gene work with those providers. We're going to have a coordinated summer program that all 4 of those agencies are going to work together. YMCA, Title I, 21st Century, and Family Success are all working together. Did I leave one out? And Title III, okay. So, well, everybody's working together. So that has to happen, because those are remedial services and enrichment services for kids. Our professional development has to be centered around what our problem is. Not sent, when the RAC was here, they would send people out, and I know people that disagree with me, and that's okay. You know, we'll send people to Chicago, we'll send people to California. We don't need to send them out of state. There's plenty of stuff right here in New Jersey they can learn how to be better with their craft. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on PD. I don't know what, if it worked, then why do we have 70% of us? That's what I go back to all the time when I talk to people. I have a favorite saying. If it was so good, why are we here? Think about that. So when someone comes up when I'm not here and they say, boy, he took that away from us, that was really good. Ask them this question. Why did 70% of the kids read below grade level during that period if it was so good? The other thing we gotta do, you can't have PD, professional development, that isolates buildings or isolates staff. I have this constant tell people, PD has to show me outcomes for the whole entire population. I don't care if 5 people get PD, that's not good enough. I want the whole staff and kids to benefit from PD. Last meeting was the PD we had. You heard about our PD session. Teachers raved about it. We had a great speaker, and we had things for everybody. Everybody had a place to go. Everybody had a mission. Everybody had a reason. You know, so that's a big. PD has to be developed around the goals and objectives the Board of Education sets. And that's what you have to do. You have to set those goals and objectives. So that's a district philosophy. Notice I just talked district. Now, that district philosophy has to permeate through the buildings. So now as you look at the status buildings, Cedar Brook, and I'm not going to bore you with reading. You all can read.